If you've been paying attention to the news, you'll know that in 2018, SpaceX launched a giant rocket into space with a Tesla car as a payload. This was one of the biggest events in the space community for a very long time. But why in the world should anyone invest billions of dollars into research and development for space technologies when there's so many other problems on Earth? How does going to space benefit the world? Investing in space benefits the world in two technological areas. First, by creating better satellites, and second, through spin-offs. Let's start with the satellites. Satellites are so important to the modern world because they're used in so many different areas. For example, satellites are used to monitor the spreading of natural disasters, such as hurricanes or wildfires, so that authorities can provide better evacuation warnings. Satellites are also used to track rainforest deforestation by detecting illegal loggers and tracking boats to detect illegal fishing. Satellites are used in GPS and navigation, including providing better search and rescue techniques, and satellites can also be used to provide internet access to areas that cannot be covered by normal broadband, such as ships at sea. So in total, the value of satellites to the global economy is easily worth billions of dollars. But the problem is, launching satellites is really expensive, and it can cost easily up to $250 million for a single launch. And so, to get more satellites into orbit, you need to create cheaper rockets. SpaceX created the world's first reusable first-stage rockets in 2013, which basically lets you reuse a huge part of the rocket instead of throwing it away in the ocean like NASA used to do, and this significantly reduced launch costs. This means launching satellites is now much more affordable, and further developments and improvements in these technologies will lower costs even further. Second, space investments lead to technological breakthroughs in medicine, transport, safety, and much more. What are some examples? Emergency blankets, which are now used in all first aid kits, were first created by NASA to put on the outside of spacecraft in 1964. Baby formula, with an enrichment ingredient that's now found in 90% of baby food in the United States, was created from research in microalgae for long-duration space travel. LASIK surgery, which is eye surgery used to correct vision problems to remove the need for glasses, was developed through precision laser technologies used to dock spacecraft. Better artificial limbs were developed by space robotics research, and this led to artificial limbs with less friction between the skin and a prosthesis, and less heat and moisture buildup. So, why can't people just invest directly in making these technologies? For example, why can't we just invest in making better medical technology instead of relying on spin-offs? This is because the applications for these investments are never intended, but rather just accidental discoveries when trying to solve problems in the most hostile of environments. Space investments, by their very nature, push the frontier of what is technologically possible because technology has to work under the most stressful of conditions, such as really hot temperatures, really cold temperatures, no oxygen, and so on. If we discover extremely precise ways to use lasers because it's needed in space, someone can then have an aha moment and say, what if we applied that laser technology to eye surgery? So basically, space investments create extremely advanced technologies that can then be spread to Earth. And space technologies are already being used to solve the world's most pressing problems. For example, using satellites, you can provide internet access and course material to school children in remote parts of developing countries. Or, satellites can be used to help small farmers by providing more accurate weather forecast predictions and by monitoring the spread of crops and pests. We're only beginning to scratch the surface of what space technologies can bring us, and they can really help us solve problems on Earth and already are.